We should be capitalizing our human resources we have. And labor-intensive industry is more viable for Pakistan at the moment. Whichever is the labor-intensive industry, maybe the IT or the production. Our major reliance of textile export is becoming a challenge, in my humble opinion. This year, we might be having less than 5 million cotton bales. And if we have a requirement of 14 to 15 million bales, that means 7 to 8 million bales will be imported and then exported after value addition. 1 million bale import means $1.5 billion outflow. And then you add value, then you import the zips, buttons, inners, and what not to add the value and then re-export. So our reliance on textile is becoming challenged because we used to produce about 13 million bales. And our neighbor country used to be less than that at that time. Now they have gone to 40 million bales. And we have come down from 14 million bales to 5 million bales. So textile industry, in terms of bringing dollars, I think we have to rethink and make it more efficient, maybe through power or maybe giving some incentive to cotton growers, then we must have our own cotton. And obviously we'll be importing many things like for pesticides or something, but still having a local cotton will boost us our increasing our foreign exchange reserve. So the labor intensive industry giving back that we are on the cotton generation growing in Pakistan would be critical if we still have a plan to rely on the textile exports. And obviously the freelance community and IT exports are picking up very quickly. And I see a lot of future in that, inshallah. And obviously the human capital will export, but the trained one, not the raw labor, will bring us a lot of dollars. We import $6,000 to $7,000, sometimes $10,000 to import ATMs. And CCDM is about $30,000. And if you, way the plastic is used is 70-80% is the plastic. And then the sensors. So our industry can develop the chips and you can have your own ATM. And some company in Pakistan is also, they have developed the cash deposit machine. This is 1/3 of the cost of the ATM machine and maybe less. So we must invest in those industries where our dollar is going abroad. Islamic banking has more processes to book asset and then follow on. Often an acceptance in terms of the marhaba should be done by the system. We can authorize our agent, AI agent or app to accept the offer to buy a product from a customer, which is marhaba. And that can be done 24/7 without any holidays, because in the industry, the business is going on 24/7 in a continuous process. Suppose buying a milk for a milk processing company, it is important to have a marhaba acceptance instantly, because the moment it goes to the chillers, it changes. It may be the cream, it may be the other things. You can't do marhaba later on. So if you put on a system, so your app, you can do acceptance through an app or through an AI agent to do it immediately. With the approval of our Sharia department, the conversion of istisna is also can be done through our digital app and through by the system. It's not really a very difficult. It is just customer is delivering us the goods, and we just see that it is according to the specs we agreed, and we accept it. That can be done very easily. Finance is now fintech. It is no more a manual thing to do. Suppose we are scaling up our consumer finance and we are doing it through 550 branches and we're opening up more branches. How many people we employ to underwrite a very stereotype structured finance? I think one machine with the deep learning can do it in seconds. So you just have to put your ID card number, the tax, and other thing. The system will verify from Nadra and other things, and your salary. I think it should not take 3 to 4 seconds to give you approval on your app, or even while you're standing on an ATM machine, that you have X amount of approval to have your car or maybe your house. I think that should be done, and it's not really very difficult. If we want to introduce the nano loans of 25K or 5,000K or 100,000K, we can't hire hundreds and hundreds of people to underwrite. So that has to be done through digitally, electronically, SC and ME, and then commercial and corporate customer. That is also not a very rocket science. I talk about corporate first. It is balance sheet based lending and cash flow based lending. So we can easily put the numbers into the system. Public limited company accounts are already available, and the borrowing limits and all regulatory requirements. So our RM puts a lot of trouble making the credit proposal and going through the hierarchy. 70 to 80% underwriting can be done for corporate and SE and ME through system, and rest 30% is qualitative, the market knowledge. That thing can be discussed manually or in a credit committees. Otherwise, the underwriting process for corporate, SE, small enterprises, medium and enterprises can be done digitally. Few banks have already decided at the board level to convert. The topmost is the investment of PIBs and TIBs. It is about, if I'm not wrong, about 44 trillion rupees, including the National Savings Center debt we have. And by the time of 2-3 years, maybe few more trillions. Already work is done on the skooks and the asset providing and the asset light skooks. The solutions are there. All segment of the country, they have started working towards that as the government, the regulator. But that I see one of the major tasks to convert all these PABs and TBs into Sharia compliant. The assets are not really the issue. You have a coastal line of hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, and it's a priceless. One small hospitality project may be $20 to $30 million. So the land is very precious we have. And obviously the future cash flows of the government, SCU can be provided for that. So that can be addressed, I think, at large, but that has a challenge, I think, which government and obviously all stakeholders must work on it. Second challenge is the buy-in by the industry itself. There are some pockets or people that think that it might take a little bit more than the time frame, and they are also right because of the presently, if we think about it. But if I talk about 2002, once the license was given to a first Islamic bank, there is less than 1% market share, and by now in 2022 years, the liability is 23% of the market and 22% of the asset, which is, I think, is a great achievement, because just 5 banks and then the windows, and window has their own limitation. And the third part is the training and involvement of all the staff in the Islamic banking, that their mindset should be changed, because you need to have a lot of conviction to implement it according to the Sharia laws. Our equity markets, capital markets, our takaful companies, our AMCs, all companies, 360-degree should be ready for Islamic finance. If banks are 80 to 90% implemented, the AMC is not able to cater it. If the insurance companies are not providing takaful facilities, so what would happen? It won't be done. So the entire financial system has to be Sharia compliant, and I'm sure now that the takaful companies are getting good response. Mostly AMCs, they have Sharia compliant, and they have the windows and they are converting. And then obviously there are brokerage houses. There are few brokerage houses in Pakistan. They are only dealing with the Sharia compliant equities, which is a great news. The volume is increasing. So I think the ecosystem is getting towards that. And I see no problem to implement it 100%, inshallah. And the topmost thing is that we really want to do it, and we should do it. There will be few challenges, that our international contracts and our agreements with the other countries and the donors and the provider of loan, that will remain a challenge because we are in an IMF program that is interest-based borrowing. The one thing that really hurts me, that from Islamic countries we borrow on interest base. That should not be done. That should be done on a Sharia compliant basis, and I'm sure those countries will not be having any problem because they'll be getting the same return. But we, through negotiation, must talk about the Sharia compliant international borrowings, at least with the Islamic countries, and that is because those countries, they invest very happily in green skooks, and those countries have a portfolio of international skooks, so they can also invest in Pakistan on Sharia compliant. I think we as a country must start doing it, think about it, and then we can go to those countries and talk and convert our international financing from Islamic countries. And then obviously that little part which is international borrowing from World Bank and other donors, that would remain a challenge, because only banking Sharia compliant is not important. It's the entire country should be Sharia compliant.